And welcome to the new and improved Lives with Tara. Hi, I'm Tara, your Christian wife homeschool mom of 10, almost 11 children. This week, I am running a challenge that was by popular demand for the Joyful and Confident Moms of Many Facebook group I have the pleasure of running. The ladies, I pulled them and they said, Tara, we want more help with how to do big family chores. Okay, I've learned this the hard way. Didn't feel particularly prepared for motherhood. Not knocking my mom, just being real. Because most of my time, like in school or playing with the few friends I had. So I just was totally, baptism by fire when it came to being a mom, especially a big family mom. So learning a chore system that works has been something that I like, what is it called? Necessity is the mother of all invention. Maybe it's like desperation is also the mother of all invention, because I had to figure this stuff out or else I was going to be kind of a slave to all the housework. Obviously in the early years, I did the bulk of it, right? Because the little kids, when they're really little, they might have high levels of enthusiasm, but they do not necessarily have high level of skills. So the past 2 days, I've been talking about like how to start them young and then how to get into a chore list, which I shared yesterday. Now, if you're catching this on my personal profile page or on YouTube, this is really only half the challenge. Like the other half is in the group. So if you want to join that, there'll be a link. That's where I'm actually giving action items. So you can just, go from, oh, that's kind of an interesting idea into this will help me in my life right now. So if that's you and you're not just looking to, have some inspiration, but you're actually looking for transformation, then I highly recommend joining the group so you can get all the goodness. And I'm running a giveaway this week for everyone who participates with the live challenge. Catching this later, that's fine. Everything will be saved in the guide section. But for you catching this live, all you have to do is be in the group and like and comment both the video that you're watching right now and then the post that'll come around 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So just make sure you just catch those two things, like and comment on both, and boom, you're in the giveaway. And at the end of the week, on Saturday, someone will get picked and they'll get a nice little treat in the mail as a thank you from me for being part of this challenge. So that's it. Let's dive into it. Today's day 3, and I'm going to talk about at what ages and what particular chores do I assign? Kind of how do you make it work? From starting them young, yesterday talking about actually making a list, but let's get into that list a little bit more, make it make more sense. So funny story, my now 5-year-old, when she, over the last year and a half, she's always been the kind of kid who, as soon as I start doing anything in the kitchen, like she sees me put on an apron or, start to pull out some food, she's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And right away, I know where this is going. And it's one of those like conflict of interest moments where I'm like, I really should encourage you, as a child in your interests, helping in the kitchen. But honestly, this isn't really going to help me. In fact, it's going to slow me down. So that's been a bit of a sanctifying mommy challenge for me to give my young daughter things to do that she really would like to do. And I don't particularly necessarily want her to do. But it's just part of being a mom, right? So I've chosen to kind of get over myself at that young age. And I talked, starting them young. I even shared a really adorable video, if you caught it, of my 19-month-old, like toddling over to the garbage and putting his diaper in the garbage can. But what do you do kind of beyond that stage, like 3.5, 4, when they're like, Mommy, I want to help. Mommy, I want to help. Well, I kind of invented chores for her. And sometimes they were like chores I didn't really want her to do, like helping me in the kitchen. We have an island. I'm actually sitting at it right now. And she'll just kind of sit on a stool and I'm on the other side. And I just be like, okay, well, I guess you could mix this, like here's a big spoon. And sometimes half of it would go flying. It's captivating, pardon me, how would I say it? Capitalizing on her enthusiasm. Because when they're little, tons of enthusiasm, right? Like doing chores for them is super exciting. Being part of the grown-up world, super exciting for most kids. I mean, I have one exception to that rule, but by and large, most kids will gravitate towards that. So when she's about 4 or 5, I decided, you know what? I'm actually going to start giving her assigned chores because she wants it. And I'm like, this is something I should nurture because in a couple of years, she may not desire doing the chores so much when it kind of becomes part of the chore list and the routine. Her skill sets will be improving then, but her enthusiasm may wane. So kind of like, where are you going to hit it? You might, enthusiasm and skill may not always match, but you kind of have like one or the other. So I decided to actually this year, now that she's 5, officially add her to the chore list. This is the youngest I've ever added anyone to the chore list. I usually wait till they're 6 because that's when we also start homeschooling, and it just sort of like flows more naturally of like, now you're a big kid and they're super excited to be a big kid. Well, she's 5. She's still got a year till I'm officially adding her to the homeschool roster. So I decided to put her on boots. So boots at our house is just a little after supper chore of rearranging the boots because they're kind of like bowling pins that get knocked throughout the day, the rain boots or the snow boots, depending what season we're in. And it's just kind of going into our mudroom and just gently rearranging anything that may have been messed up. It's a super light chore. Honestly, I don't really need it done, but it's nice. It's like someone's going to do it. It's me bending over, halfway through my 11th pregnancy here, or it's her. And I'd rather have her do it. She's lower to the ground. It works better for me. So she's been added to the chore. She doesn't know about it yet. She's going to find out in 2 weeks. And I know she's going to be over the moon. So next step up is I have a 7-year-old after that. Anyone under the age of 5, I'm not putting them officially on a chore list. We just do more informal things, and I talked about that on Monday. So my 7-year-old, he does recycling. We have a little bin under the sink just right across from me, and I just sort of fill it up throughout the day with like yogurt cups or little whatever, stuff for the recycle bins. Our actual recycle bins are outside, and if I had to go every day and like around the corner and open the door and chuck things into the bins, like I'd probably lose half an hour of my productive time doing that. So I just assigned it as a chore, and that's something a 7-year-old can do. I'll talk to more about like some of the training, like how and when do I actually train kids in so they can do it with like a level of safety and also like a level of at least, we have to have the whole year because I told you yesterday we do it annually. They're going to start out kind of sloppy, but I expect that they will get better with training. So yeah, he's going to do recycling. He's super stoked. And also once a week, he gets to bring all the big bins to the curb, which for him is like, he really rises to the occasion. He feels like a little man, like he's growing up. That's actually a big responsibility. And of course, we will double check that everything actually got to the curb and he's not like blocking vehicles or something. So those are my younger kids. And then we jump into the middle ages. The middle ages, which for me is like 8 to 11-year-olds. So chores I would give them that work really well for us with sort of like the physical and mental maturity level would be like, so my now 9-year-old used to do recycling. He's getting graduated up. He did a good job this year and he's going to move on up to the garbages. So we have like a 3-level house with a fully finished attic instead of a finished basement. So we got a bunch of bathrooms, praise the Lord, and lots of little bathroom garbages. So once a week, he's going to go around, and he loves it. When he's a little kid, he played Garbage Man. It was like his favorite game ever. In fact, I remember one day when he decided to play Garbage Man, he dumped out every single bin of toys we own in the living room. It was catastrophic. It was hilarious, but it was also crazy because like the kids were so little, they weren't really meaningfully able to sort that out. So yeah, that was like me calling all the older kids and be like, oh my goodness, here, you just take this bin, you take this bin. And he's like, I'm the Garbage Man and I made a dump. And I'm like, you sure did, buddy. Well, now he gets to be a real garbage man. Collect up all the garbages once a week, the night before garbages go to the curb. And I actually tested him. He didn't know. I tested him last week to see if he could lift the big garbage bag. Like I took it out of our big kitchen bin. And I was like, hey, buddy, your big brother who usually takes care of it, he's not home this weekend. Will you take this out to the bin? Can you do the little locking mechanism? He's like, yeah, I can. I was like, I was kind of skeptical. He did. They're like these raccoon locks because we get raccoons where I live in Canada if you don't like lock your garbage down. So I was like, sweet. He's graduating right up into it. Can't wait to tell him in 2 weeks when we kick off homeschool. So that's his like 8 to 11-year-old. I wasn't sure if he could physically handle it. And if he hadn't, then I would have, pivoted real quick and made a change because I'm only going to give them something they can, might put the bar a little high, but not so high it's going to be frustrating or downright dangerous and messy, right? Because that's, who wants that? So my 11-year-old, what's he going to be doing this? He's going to be making breakfast in the morning. So yeah, I haven't made breakfast for my kids in years because it's just like simple cereal. All they have to do is, I'm going to give them measuring cups so we don't go crazy with the cereal. And you just have to put the milk and the raisins and the pre-measured cereal on the table, and everyone's got color-coded bowls, and it all works out beautifully. And I only do breakfast on Sundays when I do like a special before church Sunday breakfast. And that's just how we make it flow. And it's just a really nice part of our routine. The chores get done, and then everybody knows how to put their stuff in the dishwasher. And I'm even teaching the 3-year-old at least how to get it to the sink. Close enough. what do I do? Let's see, I got my little notes here. So once they get up to, oh, right. My 11-year-old is having a hard time with his focus this year. So he's actually not graduating from one of his chores. And, and that's okay. That's all right. Sometimes we just need another year to work on our skill set. So I'm actually going to have to work with him to keep the door open in this Lego room that we have, where there's just, that's where we keep the stuff that could kill the baby, the Legos. And we're going to have to keep the door open. I'm going to have to do inspection, and that's okay, because just sometimes that's how it has to be in our house. You're not ready to move on in the annual chore list I talked about yesterday. So what else? Okay, 12 and up. So that's kind of the last group, is the 12 and ups. This is where, real quick, I'm just going to run through it. I've got dishes, sweeping the floor after dinner, making dinner one time a week, usually on the weekend when Dad's home and he can kind of help me with the little kids. And then I can be more present to kind of coach. My two 14-year-old twin sons are going to be, one's going to do Saturday, one's going to do Sunday this year. And they're going to get to help choose what that meal is going to be. I mean, I'll have ultimate veto. So we're not going to have I don't know, cake for supper. But we, to help them plan also the components of a nutritious meal, what looks like, our family's nutrition and what we like to eat. It's going to be great. I'm really excited for them to learn this skill set, and they're excited too, because they've been, kind of offering to help here and there. So that's going to be super fun. We also have kids 12 and up washing floors, vacuuming our 2 levels of carpeted floor, and managing all their own laundry. Laundry is a whole separate thing. I honestly could do a whole video on this, but this is just a 5-day challenge. So I'm just kind of running over it to give you some inspiration, some specifics on how we do it, in case you're like, oh yeah, I could totally do that. That would work really good with, the ages and stages that you're at right now with your kids and you're seeing at your house. So by all means, take it with a grain of salt. Learn from me what's going to help you where you're at. I'm kind of just a couple years ahead than some moms. And I didn't have a mom who's a couple years ahead of me to plug into when I had 303, 505, 707. And we were living in a townhouse at the time, like a standard townhouse, no big backyard, no garage. And we had to make that work. And I mean, that's a whole other talk of big family, small house, right? So that's how we do it. Lastly, when in the day do we do those various chore assignments? Well, the ones that are pre-breakfast, like making breakfast or emptying the dishwasher, obviously they have to be done by 8 o'clock, and the kids have a good routine. And, we have kind of an inspection we do with the boys at 8 o'clock because they share the attic. And so that's just part of his flow of his days. He goes up at 8 o'clock and does inspection. So the boys know they better have their breakfast chores done before then, or else, honestly, they're not having breakfast. I've only had to do that a handful of times where I was like, you just decide to keep sleeping. And they weren't even sick. I mean, obviously if they're sick, of course they're going to get some slack for that. But they're like, yeah, I just didn't get up and do my chore. And I'm like, okay, then don't work, don't eat. And the next day, no, they get that chore done on time. Because they're only going to be hungry. You have snack at 10 o'clock. We're very blessed. None of my kids are truly, experiencing hunger or anything. So when in the day? Well, there's a couple in the morning, but honestly, what's worked best for us is to do the vast majority of the chores right after supper. We have about 45 minutes after our meal, our family meal that we all sit together with at the end of the day when Dad's home from work. And right after supper, it's just boom, everybody get to their chores. The chore list is on the fridge right over yonder, so there's no excuses. And in September, I'm really going to direct them to that. I'll go through with them and I'll just really quickly call out the chores to help them get into the flow. But now that we're August, we've been doing the same chores now since last September. They've got this stuff memorized. So like I said, most of my kids are going to graduate right out. I'm very happy for them, and they're looking forward to the new flow of chores. And this is how we get it done, with the ages and stages and also the time of day. So there you go. There's my tips on how we do it in our family. I hope that's been a blessing to you. Feel free to let me know in the comments, not only that you caught this video and you're staying in the the giveaway. I have pregnancy brain, by the way. My words, just what happens when I'm pregnant. And I'd love to also hear what's working with you. If there's something from the videos I shared the past few days, you're like, ooh, I'm taking that one, going to test it in my house. I'd love to hear that. So God bless you. I will connect with you again tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and we're going to talk about training them into the chores to make it easy and simple, make it work, especially in a big family model. So God bless you until then. See you tomorrow.